Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Kiki here.
AdvBlueDude.
And tonight, we're talking Mr. Banks. Yes. Oh, Adventure Blue Dude. I love your enthusiasm. It's just absolutely contagious.
I try, I like to keep everyone entertained and in high spirits.
I forgot to tell you before we went on air, so I'm just going to tell you now. The Beach Boys are playing my local fair.
Oh, you lucky son of a bitch.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Oh, wait, no.
Granted, Brian Wilson's not going to be there, so it's not that exciting.
It's not the Beach Boys. It's Mike Love and Friends.
Yes. It's that version of the Beach Boys. But still, they're going to be there, and I'm going to see it, and I'm excited. And I'm missing Neutral Milk Hotel, and I'm sad about that. I'm very sad about that. I could have gotten tickets. I could have gotten $35 tickets.
Oh my God, 35 tickets.
That would have been great. That would have been great. I could have been just like, hey, hipsters, follow me.
Play for me.
Come with me, hipsters. All right, Adventure Blue Dude. So welcome back. How was your semester?
Oh, it was great. I am now a member of a fraternity.
Yes, you are.
And, you are. It's been an interesting semester.
I'm not sure if I want to ask you what your best frat story is, or just continue.
I really don't have any.
Fair enough.
It's a nerd frat. We don't do a ton.
Oh God. So I will continue on with the transition, or with the tradition, I should say. The tradition while we're doing the transition podcast. Save that. The tradition. What is the favorite movie that you saw in film class this semester? Think.
I mean, it's probably still Mulholland Drive.
Probably Mulholland Drive still?
Yeah.
Fair enough. That was a good one.
You and the Living was a very interesting film.
Never heard of that one.
It's a Swedish film. It's essentially it's pretty much just 50 vignettes. It's just a really interesting film in general.
All right, fair enough. So we're glad you're back, Adventure Blue Dude. You're back for the summer, I assume?
Yes.
So we will be doing a lot with you over the course of the next few months. It should be very exciting indeed. But in the meantime, we are here to talk about something that's kind of in conjunction with a competition that's going on at wdwmagic.com. You want to give those guys a big old plug, Adventure Blue Dude?
We're heading down wdwmagic.com, a new home for our armchair Imagineering needs. We got Imagineering, we got people, we got games. We got all over there, so come on down to forums.wdwmagic.com/forum/Imagineer.15/.
Beautiful. I like how you included the whole URL. That was great.
Anything to make it easier, really.
All right, so the creator games. We had a couple people get eliminated tonight. The first eliminations, we're down to 14. Really quick, just how do you think the game's been going so far before we dive into our topic?
I think it's been going very well. We've had it's been interesting because there's been a ton of new people. So
yeah, that's what really sticks out to me about the cast is that the new faces are really not only there, but they really are kind of like some of the biggest competitors of the season.
Yeah,
so I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about kind of like the influx of new personalities and players we have, and I can't wait to see how it plays out.
As am I. I really do enjoy that the community has been growing pretty steadily.
Yeah, for sure.
A while. For like 2 years now, it's been growing pretty steadily.
Steady growth, guys. I think we should all be proud.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, Adventure Blue Dude, we figured, I'm really going to take this creator games profile stuff seriously because I'm going to try my very best to cover every single topic that comes up on the creator games when it comes to projects. And we're combining two of them into one. We're doing the sudden death challenge was unused spaces to fill in an unused space at Walt Disney World. What would be an example of that, Adventure Blue Dude?
The wonders of life.
Wonders of Life, yes, an obvious example.
Very obvious example.
And then we will also be talking about transitional locations throughout both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. What's a good example of that?
Transitional location. Frontierland in Walt Disney World.
Because apparently it goes from like California to what?
To upstate New York.
That's absolutely crazy. I need to hear about that.
Oh, you will.
I'm sure I will. Okay. All right, so I think the first place to start, though, in terms of transitional areas is the classic, the first transitional area in Disney Park history for all guests, because it is literally the first thing they hit. How do you feel about the train station and the Mickey floral designs, and then the plaques going underneath the tunnels and then hitting Main Street? How do you feel about that whole thing?
Oh, it's a great transition because in both parks, especially in Disneyland, because your castle's is a model, you can't see the inside from the outside. Really, like if you're right up close at like the turnstiles. So like it's a cool transition to go under the staircase out of the train station, and then just the entire world of the park is open to you. So it's a really incredible transition. Plus the plaque that hangs over.
Here we leave today and enter the world of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy.
Yes,
I mean that just sums it all up.
Yeah, that really sets the mood.
You know, and when I went to Disneyland for the first time, you know, the trip that I told you about a while ago that I was scared of everything, we actually took the monorail into Disneyland, so I didn't really get that experience. I just remember, like, we were in Tomorrowland, and I was like, I want to go on Big Thunder Mountain and be traumatized. But no, when I went when I was like 11, I just remember that that transition, you know, walking into the park properly, you know, going underneath the tunnels, reading the plaque, and then of course the posters, like a movie theater lobby or something like that, just advertising all the attractions in kind of like that classic, like 1960s sort of art style. Just really, really fabulous way to kind of set the stage. It is essentially the red carpet of Disney parks. So I love it. Not much more to say. I just wanted to kind of point that out. What do you think of the floral Mickey and how that's kind of become like the iconic sort of like entryway to Disney parks now?
I mean, it's a classic symbol. I feel it's a very fitting symbol, I suppose.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I guess the next place to go to, let's just kind of talk about the hub, just kind of in general.
Okay.
What do you have to say about the hub at Walt Disney World? Now, I know you guys recently got yours refurbished, and you probably haven't been there since it was got the extreme makeover.
But I mean, they didn't really do a lot to it. They essentially what they did is so your hub, it's like that, and it is like that. Ours is like that too, but it's like that, and it's like that, but it's also like that. So we have like we essentially have two circles in the hub. So like I mean, in general, like it's an incredibly designed place because it doesn't really set a tone, but it acts as a great like neutral area where it's not Main Street, it's not Fantasyland, it's not Tomorrowland, it's not Adventureland. But those bridges to get to each of those lands are really the transition. So the hub is a really great like neutral ground.
Yeah, it's brilliant because you have the the kind of tiki bridge in Adventureland, and that just the wooden nature of that kind of transitions into the fort in Frontierland. And I'm just talking Disneyland here in terms of like my personal experience. And then you have, and that just the fort kind of just transitions right up to the castle moat. And it's just a beautiful sort of seamless, like it makes no real sense, on a logical point of view, because it's like, why is there a frontier fort but it's so pleasing to the eye and it makes so much sense. It's just a brilliant piece of theme park design that's just been copied over and over and over again for good reason.
No, absolutely.
The one thing I will complain about with Disneyland is get rid of that freaking Astro Orbiter. That thing is just an eyesore, and it's like right, like front and center by the hub.
Ours is on top of the People Mover where it should be.
Yes, I know. You guys actually have a People Mover.
Damn straight. Don't you ever forget it.
Well, don't you ever forget how sucky your Pirates of the Caribbean is.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be in Hong Kong, which is not pirates. There's no pirates there.
Fair enough.
I don't know what point I was trying to make, but damn it, I made it.
I guess really quickly, I will go through one of my favorite transitional areas of Disneyland, and then you can get to Frontierland, which you kind of pointed out is like the best transitional area of the Magic Kingdom, you would say, right?
Yes.
Okay, so my transitional area, it's really kind of very subtle the way they do it, but it's basically everything from Indy all the way up until like when you hit Pirates of the Caribbean in New Orleans Square. And of course, you do have that kind of there's a lot of pictures of it, that weird sort of green building that also looks kind of vaguely Victorian and vaguely frontier-ish. That's sort of supposed to be like a mixture of all three of the styles of Frontierland, Adventureland, New Orleans Square. And that is like kind of like in the sort of marketplace area of Adventureland, you know, where all the shops and food is, you know, the right side of the land, whereas the left side is all the attractions.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so that building is kind of the start of it. And then the treehouse is a good sort of, it's a good transitioning point in terms of like, there's a lot of Victorian era sort of design in there because you have the British flag, which is a good central point. And then you have the ship kind of mast that's in the tree, which is also kind of a good kind of visual element to center around. And then I love the side of the Pirates of the Caribbean building and the side queue because it goes right by the treehouse, and then you see like all this moss on the side of the Pirates of the Caribbean building. And I don't know, it's like there's not a ton of story to it, but you know, it's just really well done. And then simultaneously, I guess another one to point out would be I really do love the way that the Haunted Mansion transitions into Critter Country. I love, like, geographically it makes sense because it's like New Orleans Square is like on the edge of the bayou, and then Critter Country pretty much is the bayou. So it's like seeing all, you know, basically seeing the Briar Patch and stuff like that from the Haunted Mansion queue. You know, it's essentially like seeing like, you know, like a bayou. You know, that's essentially what Splash Mountain acts as visually when you're in line for Haunted Mansion. So I guess, let's see, that's about it for, I mean, there's a couple other spots. I guess the one other spot to mention would be, there's not a lot done in terms of transition, but I do like how they have, the Matterhorn, one side is Fantasyland transitioning into Tomorrowland, and then the other side is like, I guess, Tomorrowland side, but you still have basically, I like the transition of Nemo kind of acting as like something that's in between fantasy and science fiction, so in between Fantasyland and Tomorrowland, and I think that works really well. And so I really like the way that's, you know, that's off it to the Matterhorn overlooking the Sublagoon, because it's like you can see Space Mountain in the distance, but you can also kind of you know, Fantasyland is right there as well, so it's a good kind of like meeting spot. So all right, I'll stop babbling. What do you got?
So let me preface this by saying Splash Mountain kind of ruins this, but screw it, I'm going to talk about it anyway. So really, like, Frontierland as a whole was really, the entire land is kind of a transition. So let's forget about Splash Mountain, pretend it's its own separate thing. So you start off way at the end.
It is its own separate thing in Disneyland.
It is. It really should be in Disneyland, but it's not. But so you start at way at the end, Big Thunder Mountain, that represents like California, like Gold Rush, like California. So
okay, right.
You make your way down, and as you're walking, you get to like the actual like Frontierland area. There's like a lot of it's like Old West, so like you could call it Texas. Then, as you keep walking, you eventually hit like Tom Sawyer Island. It's way off in the distance, but that obviously represents Mississippi.
Sure.
You can call that. There's a theory is posted somewhere that like there are bridges actually, yes, there's a bridge that you cross, and you can say that as you're crossing that bridge, you're crossing the Mississippi. And then you hit Country Bear Jamboree, which obviously like represents like Tennessee,
Of course, of course.
like countries in the country states in that area.
I see where this is going.
Yeah, more so Tennessee. Then you hit eventually like you leave Frontierland, hit Liberty Square, which obviously represents like colonial America, which is usually Virginia is like the main like indicator of colonial America. So you hit Virginia, then you go to the Haunted Mansion, which was modeled after like upstate New York mansions.
Right, right. Okay.
So really,
yeah,
like
you're right.
that
Wow.
whole land, and I mean like Splash Mountain represents the Deep South, but it's kind of out of place. But in the grand scheme of things, but just like that whole quadrant of the park is just one huge transition. It was designed really, really impeccably and interestingly.
Now, how do you think it would compare to something like Thunder Mesa at Disneyland Paris? Because that is like a lot of storytelling wrapped into one park.
I mean,
of course, neither of us have been to, Disneyland Paris, but
yeah. I mean, that's completely different because it's so wrapped up in its own story. Thunder Mesa is Thunder Mesa. It's not a representation of the U.S.
So yeah, I see what you're saying though. It's like it's a very subtle sort of transitioning point throughout basically a cross-country trip. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's really cool.
Any other ones you want to bring up?
I mean, there's a really small one that's the one between Liberty Square and the tangled area in Frontierland. Or in Fantasyland. It's a really simple.
The tangled area in Frontierland.
Yeah. It's a really,
at this point, I wouldn't be surprised.
it's a really simple transition, but it's a really effective one.
Okay.
So to get to that area, you have to pass next to the Columbia Harbor House. And you kind of Columbia Harbor House and what is now Memento Mori are attached by like a little like overhang like room that's on the second floor. So like you kind of like walk through like a mini tunnel, and as you walk under that tunnel, that's when the music starts changing to Fantasyland or Liberty Square, whichever you're going to.
Oh wow, that's cool.
So,
I think I've heard of this before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really sudden transition, but it's a really effective transition because even though it's so sudden, it also eases you into the ideas of the land.
Well, it's kind of like a theatrical kind of transition. You know what I mean?
It is. And actually, the music of Frontierland really helps the whole transition as well.
Why do you say that?
So, not the transition I was just talking about between Fantasyland and Liberty Square, but the transition of Frontierland as a whole, because like the first part, like it's more like Western music, like that kind of like country music. Yeah. And then it's really, really cool. I actually really like this because as you're in the area that's where Adventureland meets, so there's a tunnel where Adventureland, that if you go through, you hit Adventureland, but it leads out into the area directly on the border of Frontierland and Liberty Square. And that area is scored by Sousa marches, which is really cool because Sousa is a very American type of music, or he's a very American composer rather. So it's cool to see it's cool to hear music that is so indicative of America as a whole. And then so like you leave the country music behind, hit Sousa, and then as you pass the Sousa and enter Liberty Square like as a whole, it turns to like fife and drum music, like classic colonial music.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it's just a really interesting, very smooth transition on like all fronts.
Cool. All right. What about any from any other parks in Walt Disney World besides Magic Kingdom?
I mean, Animal Kingdom is one
Yeah, talk
continuous
about that
transition.
for a bit. Yeah, because it's for my money, just based on my research that I've done on Animal Kingdom without even being there, I do think like that it's hard to top in terms of just in terms of like how everything flows into each other, has its own story. I hate how Avatar Land isn't being called Pandora, but whatever. We've had that discussion before.
Yep. It's it's very interesting because the Oasis is kind of the Oasis. Yeah, it is the Oasis. The Oasis is kind of the main street of Animal Kingdom.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So like it's really a prologue to the actual park. You can't really see the Tree of Life. Everything's really tight and
because it's basically just like a naturalistic sort of transitional area.
it is. It's like everything's really tight and like wrapped up in itself because it's so forested. And then as you get to the end, everything just opens up, and then it's just Animal Kingdom. And then the rest of it is just a really smooth transition. There aren't really transitions. Everything just kind of like fades and comes in. It's because
I gotta ask, like, what about Chester and Hester's?
Screw that. Like that just kind of happens. There is no transition. You get to the end of Everest. You cross over a bridge of nothingness, past the theater that has the Nemo show, and then suddenly you're in Dinorama. So there isn't really.
That's awful.
Yeah, but like Asia especially is a really good transition, where if I remember correctly, like as you go through Asia, you kind of travel the continent. Like there's an India section.
Isn't it like kind of like a trek up to the Himalayas?
Essentially, yes. Like Cali is India, so like there's that whole area that's India, and then that slowly transitions into Nepal, which is where Expedition Everest is, and then that fades into nothingness as we hit Chester and Hester.
Oh god.
Yeah. Like, Adventureland as a whole is really a really great, yeah.
I guess, what about any sort of small transitional points in the World Showcase?
There aren't really a ton.
Really?
Like they all
kind of just mesh into each other.
Yeah, like they all just kind of happen. I suppose, which I mean, they're meant to.
Sounds like a Universal park. It all just kind of happens. There, Jurassic Park there, Transformers there, whatever.
It's kind of meant to. I mean, that's just the design of the park because they want them to be set.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying, yeah.
I do think the best transition is England and France. Because there's England and you cross over like a few bridges to get to France. So I suppose you could call that crossing the English Channel. But just the way it's like it's themed and the way it like the bridge is designed, it oddly fits for both countries.
Okay, right on.
So it's really interesting.
I guess anything that you can think of that's good in the studios.
Yeah, I mean Hollywood Boulevard and Sunset Boulevard are they should be the same land because it's really interesting how the whole front area of the park is just a representation of Hollywood. So you go down Hollywood Boulevard, Chinese theaters at the end. Off to the right is a studio, or what used to be a studio. That's where all the backlots are. That's where animation is. That's where like the arches, the big what used to be MGM, the big MGM arch.
Sure.
Really is really the beginning of that studio area.
And thank God that we have the proper view of the Chinese theater.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And then off to the right, you hit Sunset Boulevard, which is that kind of off to the side area that kind of represents like the seedy underbelly of Hollywood,
which is great.
Hollywood.
Which is great.
Yeah, which is great, and it's become my obsession. But as you very well know, that I haven't done. But so yeah, like even though MGM is a very disjointed park, when it does things good, it does things really, really good.
Okay, cool, interesting. Right, I guess just a couple. Well, I guess the one thing that I want to bring up in California Adventure, because to be fair, I have not been to it since the big kind of expansion. But the transitional point between Pacific Wharf and Cars Land absolutely blows my mind when I see it on video. Just the transition from like the Monterey kind of like wooden kind of cannery buildings. And then you hit kind of like the, the Route 66 sort of setting, which would be appropriate because Monterey Bay is kind of like right off of the highways, like not necessarily Route 66, more like Highway 1, but still, I very much do associate Monterey and highways, so it feels appropriate. And then the thing that oh my God, it just blows my mind is that that giant like stone archway that you have to walk through, and then you hit Cars Land, and then you see, the racing cars and everything, and the Cadillac range. That's crazy to me. I can't believe the scope of Cars Land. So, and I guess also the transition from, just walking through Radiator Springs itself, I imagine is very good too.
I'm sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So with that, do you want to get into unused spaces?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you kind of basically just determined that you're going to talk about pretty much exclusively Epcot, right?
Yes.
All right. So for my, why don't we break down some of the unused spaces in Disneyland? So the one that I always point to, the one that I'm always like, they should really build there is basically you got this whole stretch where it's like the backside of the Rivers of America, kind of across from Tom Sawyer's Island. And then you got the Big Thunder Ranch. You got the Feast of Fools Arena, which isn't being used. And hell, you know what? If you want to just be cute about it, just lump Toontown in there because you can easily just transition into Toontown if you just bulldoze over it. You've got a ton of space there. You know what I want to see? And I know it's never going to happen, but it's like my dream thing to go back there because I think it would fit the theme perfectly.
What?
Gravity Falls.
Okay. Absolutely.
Because I do think that Gravity Falls, it is a great mixture of kind of like a frontier kind of atmosphere, but also sort of like a deep woods, which that whole area kind of feels like anyways. So I feel like it would be kind of a natural fit. And I could just imagine, I already have stuff in my head like Seuss's SS Cool Dude boat just kind of docked in a part of the Rivers of America, the Straight Blanchard song playing on the radio. I'm blanching in my pants. I'm blanching in my pants. Or however the hell that song goes. And I definitely picture a mystery shack, like just a gift shop / just crazy walkthrough sort of, Easter egg hunt thing in the mystery shack. And I also picture like whatever the e-ticket would be. For some reason, I picture them riding around in souped up golf carts.
That'd be cool.
And with Gravity Falls, you can do anything. There is so much, as you know. There is like so much mythology to it, so many creatures. So I would be fully down with Gravity Falls. The reason why it'll never happen is Disney treats Gravity Falls like crap, anyways. So yeah, when it comes to the airing schedule and stuff like that, so yeah, I doubt it would happen. I think it's a shame because Gravity Falls is ripe for a theme park transition. I think. I don't know. What do you think would be a good fit for back there?
I don't know. I'm inclined to suggest something original. At the same time, I don't know what that something original could be. Gravity Falls is definitely a really good choice.
I mean, like I said, just because I do feel like that whole back area kind of feels like, like the Pacific Northwest anyways.
Yeah.
So so just put in like a mystery shack, put in an e-ticket. There you go. I think it would be a perfect transitioning point between Fantasyland and Frontierland.
It's actually very interesting.
We might have to make a thread about this.
Yes. It's actually very interesting that this is slightly off topic, but there's like a ton of fan art that crosses Gravity Falls with Over the Garden Wall.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't say I'm surprised.
No, I'm not. I mean, it fits.
Oh yeah.
Let's make an Over the Garden Wall ride. I'd be down. I'd ride that thing for
Season
days.
13, perhaps.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Yep, definitely. No, there's no perhaps. Just yes.
All right, we have something.
Yes. We have something.
All right. That's our first idea for season 13.
Yeah, we haven't done anything for season 13 yet.
Okay. So, what do you think about just the whole situation going on with Autopia and Innoventions?
Innovention should go. Autopia should stay solely for historical purposes.
But it takes up such a large real estate.
They can make it smaller.
Yes, they need to. What they need to do is they need to make it smaller, and they need to make it small enough so that they could cut off a gap to where you could have like a big area of land to work with that would fit up like some of the giant Small World Mall area, which is basically just a big slab of asphalt in the middle of Fantasyland. Fill in some of that, and then fill in the motorboat cruise area. And just seriously, just do something with it. I mean, I agree with you that Autopia, like, I guess from a historical perspective, it is an opening day attraction. I can't argue with that. But
and it's not a bad attraction.
Yeah.
I mean,
you need to have electric cars at least.
Yes, I mean, you can very easily.
A refurb.
It does, but I mean, like, Tomorrowland Speedway should go because there's absolute shit. There's nothing there. There's no theming. But, like, Autopia at least has some care to it and some thought put into it.
I will defend that. Yeah, Autopia definitely, there is some theme there. You know, the whole, like, driving along the futuristic highway, the car park, and everything like that, the off-road section. Yeah, there's some attempts at theme, for sure.
It's a fun ride in general, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, Innoventions, what do you think they should do with that?
They should... Oh, that's a difficult one.
Right, because of the carousel theater element to it.
Yeah. When we did that project for Soul Imagineer, I was really trying to figure out a way to like play into the carousel theater and really bring it into the 21st century. But it's a really difficult thing to work with because it's so simple, and complicating it would just overcomplicate.
Right, exactly.
I would absolutely love it if they could keep it, if they could make that a history pavilion.
Okay.
Like a permanent, not even necessarily a permanent one-man street.
Maybe kind of like somewhere that could kind of like preserve some of the like old concepts from Tomorrowland.
Absolutely, yeah. That's
you know, like have the I'm thinking like have the what was it,
the bathroom of the future.
Well, God, yeah, you have to have that. I mean,
let's bring back the Hall of Chemicals. We'll have the hands-on section. We'll have the pen pond.
No, what was the train that was kind of the precursor to the monorail?
Oh shit, what was that?
I'm thinking, was it the Moonliner?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. The Moonliner was the rocket. What the heck?
You're right.
I'm looking this up.
Yeah, I feel stupid for not knowing it. But have a phantom boat in there, you know, just all kinds of crazy, have the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea squid.
Yeah, no, I mean, like... Oh, it's the Viewliner.
Viewliner. I knew it was something liner.
It's interesting because Tomorrowland has such a rich history.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Tomorrowland
I really
and Disneyland especially.
I'm going to explore that rich history, but
so
we'll see about that.
So do I.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will, to an extent. But, yeah, like I would love to see something like that put into it. And it's especially good because it has 2 floors.
Oh yeah, sure.
So if they
sure.
wanted to, you could very, very, very easily put in 2 semi-related attractions. Feasibly.
Okay. So the last one that I want to point out at Disneyland is it's tricky because I don't exactly know what you would do with this space because I'm looking at the Starcade, which basically the Starcade nowadays is like this, the first floor is still there, but the second floor is just completely empty and abandoned, and so it's essentially like half of the building is not being used. And then right next to it is the Honey, I Shrunk the Audience Theater, which is currently, I'm imagining, playing. I'm guessing it's playing Tomorrowland previews.
Which one? The Magic Eye?
Well, yeah, the Magic Eye. Yeah,
it's playing Tomorrowland now.
What do you think of keeping the Magic Eye for just historical purposes? The problem with doing anything with the Magic Eye is that it's right under Space Mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for Epcot because it absolutely fits in with the ideals of the Imagination Pavilion. But it's just entirely obsolete in Disneyland. There's really no need for it.
I mean, I think that 3D is entirely obsolete in movie theaters now.
So
okay, like Age of Ultron. I went to the I wish I could say I went to the midnight screening, but I went to the Thursday 7 o'clock screening, which isn't nearly as cool sounding, but you know what? The crowd was enthusiastic, so that's all I cared about, really.
But sick of Thursday 7 o'clock bullshit.
I know, it is
stupid.
Star Wars better get a midnight. That's all I'm saying. Star Wars better get a proper midnight.
I hope it's Wednesday.
I want that.
5.
I want Star Wars to get a proper midnight.
So do I.
I really hope that happens. Yeah. I really, really hope that happens. But anyways. So, no, it's funny because the theater that I was in for Age of Ultron was the 2D screening. And guess how many seats were left for that? Guess how many empty seats they had?
How many?
Goose egg. 0.
Okay.
Then they had a 3D showing. Guess how many people were in that theater?
None.
32.
Jesus. I mean, like, it's pointless because
32 next to like 300 something.
Yeah. It's pointless because really at this point, the gimmick is gone in 3D. And essentially all you're paying for is, like, essentially all
you're paying for is to darken the screen.
Essentially. And, like, really all it does is it just drives ticket prices up. And it's just pointless. There's no need to it.
I can't even remember the last. Well, I guess I did want to see How to Train Your Dragons 2 in 3D. I kind of remember
that's a little bit different.
That in 3D.
The first one had really good 3D.
That's what I heard, and the second one was just absolutely amazing in terms of like the animation and the scale of it all. So,
like things like animation makes sense.
Sure, and Avatar and Tron Legacy, both sucky movies and sucky storylines. But absolutely cerebral 3D visual experiences.
Yeah.
I'll give it that much.
Absolutely.
Like, Tron Legacy was damn good 3D.
Yeah.
But we are kind of on a tangent about it.
Yeah, we are. I'm sorry, I'm a film major.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So, seriously, though, what do you think, like, what's the kind of solution for the Magic Eye?
Could we tear it down?
That's the thing. That's the tricky thing, is that literally it is right under.
I know.
It is basically the foundation for the Space Mountain.
I know.
So no, not tear it down.
Damn.
We could always put Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor Comedy Club in there.
No, that's worse.
No, I know. I'm
kidding. You know, it could be a cool architectural idea. Tear that down. Open up the entire bottom.
Oh, interesting, huh?
So Space Mountain is kind of suspended in the air.
Escalators?
Yeah.
Right.
Are they not there? Did they take those out?
Oh yeah, they took those out. Yeah, now it's just a when I think when they did the 2005 redo.
Oh, I thought I went on the escalators. Apparently not.
No. I know for a fact they weren't there on the 2005 redo. No, right now you just go kind of up an awkward ramp that's just like, oh, look, Red Rocket's Pizza Port. We're walking up Red Rocket's Pizza Port.
Oh, actually, I do remember that. But I mean, like, yeah, that could be a really cool architecture thing, though.
No, yeah, actually, I mean, just, it would literally be like taking out something and replacing it with nothing.
Yeah, it is, but it would look really cool.
Kinetically, I think it would give the land kind of a nice visual look to it, yeah.
It would.
And
so
then
taking out something that's not useful and putting in something that's not useful, but it looks pretty, so it's okay.
And I would argue to say that I think the escalators would serve a better purpose to get the people up to Space Mountain than the clunky sort of like, you know, off to the side between Magic Eye and the Red Rocket Pizza Port entrance that you have now.
No, absolutely.
I can't get over. I still can't get over the last time I was at Disneyland, and every time I would go to Space Mountain, like the Honey I Shrunk the Audience queue would be just so sad, so sad. There might be like 3 or 4 people waiting to get into the theater, if that. There's just like lonely attendants with like rackets and rackets full of 3D glasses that are just not being used.
Oh, I actually just realized something really sad.
What?
I think this is the first time from me going to Disney World, and for 20 years, this is going to be the first time that the Magic Eye Theater is not showing a 3D film.
What's it showing? The Tomorrowland preview again?
Yeah. And actually, it might be Inside Out by the time I go.
Oh, I can't wait for Inside Out.
That should be good. But it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about things.
Okay, so I guess that's all I have to say for Disneyland. The big thing in California Adventure is the whole backlot area of the Hollywood Picture Studios. I'm talking, of course, Muppet Vision, they've pretty much given up on. I don't want to acknowledge the fact that a freaking Frozen sing-along crap is in there, but it is, so yay, congratulations, Rob Alvey. Just bask in it. Just bask in it.
There's just so much hate in that sentence that was
just bask in your freaking Frozen sing-along.
I could just see the disdain.
And I can just see him just like, oh yes, the Muppets are gone and Frozen is taking its place. Screw hardcore Disney fans.
They did it.
So I'm obviously never going to be a theme park review contributor. Like, I have crossed that off of my bucket list.
I remember those wonderful naive days.
Hey, if I just post on the forum enough.
Yeah, we're gonna get Rob Alvey on the show. It'll be great. We'll interview him. We'll talk about Frozen.
If we got Rob Alvey on the show somehow and just freaking like dumped on him, that would be magnificent.
That's terrible.
And we could like do our research too, so we could pull like really jackassy comments he's made over the years.
So tell us about Carnival Cruise Lines.
We probably shouldn't be talking about this on air.
No, we shouldn't.
Basically conspiring to humiliate a
we
rather
should not.
well-known person
I respect
in
him.
our industry.
I respect him. This was...
I respect the man. I don't respect his attitude towards hardcore Disney fans one bit.
Neither do I, but that's beside the point. What we just did now was a very lighthearted roast.
You could call it that, yeah.
We're really... This is part of our new material. So
Monkey is going to Knott's Berry Farm for the Iron Reef preview.
Oh yeah.
And guess who's going to be there?
Him?
Yes.
Oh, also congratulations to Monkey for getting on Channel Awesome.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways,
you did. I'm proud of you. But
so the Muppets, the Millionaire Building, and Hollywood and Dine. These are basically 3 big warehouse-type buildings that could each fit an e-ticket in it, essentially.
Yes.
What do you think? Just, like, are we going to see, like, I guess the rumor for a long time was Metropolis. Do you think that still has any sort of chance of gaining traction?
Oh, you mean Monsteropolis, but when you said Metropolis, oh my god, the ideas.
Wait, what?
Oh, just picture Fritz Lang German expressionist. Oh my god! I need to
German
make this.
expressionist Hollywood.
I'm going to make this.
Have fun, my friends. Have fun.
Oh my god! I'm going to. You
Wow.
don't understand. Oh.
I look forward to that.
Oh, it's happening.
No, but seriously, for Monstropolis, do you think that's...
Absolutely.
Yeah, you think it's still got some traction to it?
Yeah, I don't want it there, but it's definitely a good idea.
I don't
And
want
it's
it
probably what will end up happening. Even though, I mean, I'm kind of
sad. I
sad.
would prefer that to Frozen.
So would I. But also, I'm kind of sad that...
decided, like, hey, everyone, Frozen e-ticket in Hollywood studios.
I'm just really kind of sad that California Adventure is turning into Pixar land.
Well, I'm just glad that it's a respectable park. I don't even...
It is.
At this point, I don't even give a crap about, like, I've just given up on the whole, like, trying to represent California. I'm just like, just make it a respectable park. Just keep making it a better park.
If it makes it feel better, I think Disney has too. So...
Right.
But yeah, I do think Monstropolis is probably the best choice. The most
not the best choice. I mean,
the most realistic.
Let's call it like it is. I think the Fritz Lang thing that you had going on, like that would be awesome.
Oh, you know, all those film geeks.
And that's never gonna happen.
They would flock. Clearly, I think it's the most feasible choice, Monstropolis.
Okay. All right, so to round out the show, let's have a little Epcot discussion, shall we?
Oh, it's what I do best. So when talking about overlooked areas of Disney parks, I think it is safe to say that Epcot as a whole is an overlooked area of a Disney park. Really, it's kind of a disaster. Mission Space hasn't been refurbished since 2003 when it opened.
Oh, that's bad.
Universe of Energy is exactly how it has been since 1996. That was 20 years.
Dated as hell.
Yes, that was almost 20 years ago. So in a
Bill Nye was still the hot thing. I mean, I love Bill Nye. I love Bill Nye.
He's still hot, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. And so is Ellen, but that's still besides the point.
When making an attraction about modern technology is not modern 20 years after the fact. So
exactly.
Yeah. So we have that. We have Seas with Nemo and friends. That's really kind of an attempt to take the science out of it, which also is not quite smart. I mean, there is science, but it's not quite how the Living Seas used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Land is okay. Although Soarin' aside, my disdain for that aside, Land's in pretty good shape. And then we hit Imagination, which is just, oh my god. There's an entire floor of it that is completely unused. Eric Idle has been wreaking havoc in there for 15 years. Dave Goelz is
I will destroy your childhood dreams.
Dave Goelz.
I don't even know if that's a good Eric Idle impression.
That was
British guy.
And of course, even now.
Come here, Figment. I am going to rape you.
Oh.
That's right. I went there.
Of course, even now, the Magic Eye Theater is no more. It's hosting previews, which previews are usually supposed to play before the movie. They're not supposed to be the movie. So,
right. I am really bothered by these like.
Uh-oh. Well, hello. What I think Tiki was trying to say was that he's also really bothered by things as such. I don't know what I'm quite gonna do, but here I am. So how are you, ladies and gentlemen? I'm gonna try to help him. So yeah, really getting back on point. World Showcase is also completely underutilized. They could have so many more attractions in there. And there are 2, technically 3, technically 5. 5? Technically 6. But 4 of them are movies. So really, in general, Epcot has kind of been underutilized, and it really has been always, which is really sad because the park can be so much more, but it just isn't, because Disney just stopped caring because it was a failure when it opened, which is really, really unfortunate and sad. And I'm not quite sure what's happening, and I'm rather frightened. So I'm just kind of going with how it goes. I see I am still the only viewer. So really past Epcot, like Streets of America is also very, very heavily underutilized. It's really that whole section of the park. It could be so much more. Where they could very easily retheme it and put multiple attractions into it. They could put a ton more attractions into it. Instead, they have cardboard cutouts of cities, which like. It makes sense from a studio park perspective, as it really does teach. It doesn't really teach, but it really makes people aware and kind of shows them what vignettes are and what facades are. But the park has kind of moved past the studio theme as a whole, especially since the backlot tour is closed. So I really do think that this is the time to really just gut that entire area of the park and make it something useful. And I'm including Lights Motors Action, because that also is just, that really should not have been there in the first place, because it takes up so much room in the park and it's just really rather pointless. I don't know what exactly they could put there, but there's enough room where they could put. There's a lot of options for them. They could expand into other IPs. They could, if they really wanted to, they could probably put Star Wars in there, because I know that they're going to put, or rather I don't know, but I'm pretty certain I think I've put Pixar over the current backlot. There's just a ton of things that they could do, and it's just being completely underutilized. Really, MGM as a whole is. I was looking at the WDW 46 challenge, and I find it really strange to see that there are only really like 6 attractions in the park now. Which, I mean, MGM is one of my favorite parks because I'm a film person, but just like that's a very basic problem. If the park only has 6 attractions, and the main point of the park has been closed, the backlot tour. So really the park needs entire rebranding, like California Adventure, but I hope they don't turn into a Pixar park, though I don't think they will. I wish Tiki would come back so I didn't have to keep rambling, because I don't really know what else to say. So I thank you all for coming tonight. If you would allow me, I would like to read an excerpt from Luigi's Mansion of Dark Moon. Can Luigi summon the courage to save Evershade Valley?